In 1963, a hidden opening was reported behind a wall in Derinkuyu, and beneath it was not a room, but a second world. That is the first contradiction. The surface looked ordinary, but the ground underneath had been organized for survival. Before we ask who built it, ask the more frightening question: what makes a family choose darkness over daylight? Step inside and the world changes quickly. Daylight thins, voices shrink, and every footstep feels too loud. The rediscovery story should stay reported, not turned into a movie scene. But the physical shock behind it is real enough. Passages, wells, air shafts, storage rooms, worship spaces, and heavy stone doors all point to one larger question. What problem did each space solve when the safest place to be was below the earth? And keep another question beside it: if you were responsible for 50 frightened people, what would you forbid first? Cappadocia already looks half-carved by weather, but the deeper clue is the stone itself. Official summaries describe Derinkuyu as excavated from soft underground rock. Soft enough to cut sounds easy until you remember the ceiling has to hold the world above it. Remove too little and there is no room. Remove too much and the refuge becomes the danger. So the first answer is not magic. It is material, patience, and respect for a mountain that could collapse if misunderstood. That matters because Derinkuyu is not impressive in spite of being human. It is impressive because it is human. Every carved wall is also a mistake avoided: the wrong angle, the wrong width, the wrong ceiling, and safety turns into collapse. That kind of intelligence does not look flashy. It looks like restraint. A quick version says Derinkuyu is a cave. The evidence says something more demanding. A cave helps one person hide. Derinkuyu appears organized around keeping a community functioning. Turkish museums list spaces that change the feeling: stable, cellar, cafeteria, church, cooker, and study rooms. Those are not decorative details. They are answers to animal care, food, heat, worship, learning, and routine. When danger lasts longer than panic, routine becomes survival technology. Someone had to know where people slept, where animals stayed, where smoke went, and where silence mattered most. This is the first major answer. The wonder is not depth alone. The wonder is systems. A system also needs rules. Without rules, storage becomes argument, water becomes power, and silence becomes impossible. That is the uncomfortable part. Survival underground was not only carved into rock, it was carved into behavior. But behavior only holds if people trust the rule. Discipline without trust can protect a room, or quietly turn it cruel. Then comes the object that turns architecture into a moral problem: the round stone door. Guides often describe these doors as defensive, and emotionally that changes everything. If a passage can be sealed from inside, safety begins with a terrible decision. Who rolls it shut? Who gives the order? Who is still outside when stone starts moving? Imagine the sound, not as drama, but as information. The surface is no longer trusted. A door can protect a family. It can also remind that family why it is afraid. Protection and imprisonment can share the same outline when fear moves into the chest. Derinkuyu is not only hiding from danger, it is deciding how danger is allowed to enter. And once a door becomes a decision, courage is no longer a feeling, it is a rule someone has to enforce. That rule is powerful, but dangerous. The same order that saves the inside can abandon the outside. That is where a community can fracture, not when fear appears, but when people disagree about who deserves protection first. A hiding place fails in 3 quiet ways: breath, thirst, and time. That is why ventilation matters more than drama. A shaft is not decoration, it is the line between refuge and a sealed chamber. Turkish museums and the Muse archive describe a 55-meter ventilation shaft that also served as a water well. That is a brilliant and frightening clue: air above, water below, people caught between both needs. The same summaries say some well mouths were not connected to the surface, to protect water during invasion. Now the system feels different. This is not a secret room. This is a plan against poisoning, suffocation, thirst, and waiting. Storage speaks the same language. Someone expected danger to last long enough for hunger to join the story. The underground city stops feeling like a secret and starts feeling like a schedule. Who draws water? Who keeps paths clear? Who calms a child when silence is not optional? This was not only refuge, it was management under fear. And management has emotions. Someone becomes calm so others can be calm. Someone becomes strict so others can live. The hard question is whether strictness still remembers mercy when everyone is afraid. That is why the wells and shafts matter so much. They are not scenery. They are what keeps panic from becoming physics. The most haunting part is not that people could hide there. It is that life had to continue there. Imagine water being carried carefully because one careless mistake could punish everyone. Imagine animals shifting below ground while people freeze and listen for sounds from above. Imagine a child being told not to cry, not because love is absent, but because sound can travel. A cross-planned church and study rooms are listed in visitor summaries, and that detail matters. Prayer here is not decoration in the story, it is one way people stay human when the sky disappears. Study rooms suggest something even stranger. Below ground, fear still had to leave space for teaching. That is what makes the site emotionally hard to dismiss. It protects bodies, but it also protects rhythm. Food, water, animals, worship, learning, movement, silence, each one was a need that could break the refuge if ignored. When safety requires darkness, the question changes: how long before refuge starts feeling like confinement? The answer probably changed by the hour. The first hour might feel like relief, the 10th might feel like discipline, the 3rd day might feel like a test of love. That is the psychology of Derinkuyu. The same wall that saves you can start asking what kind of person safety is turning you into. This is where the internet usually rushes ahead of the evidence. You will hear levels, depths, capacity claims, and dramatic origin stories. Some summaries describe about 85 meters of depth, while local summaries separate cleaned visitor floors from estimated deeper levels. Muse and Turkish museums say only about 10% can be visited today and give a 1965 public opening date. A local governor summary reports 1967. That difference is not a scandal, it is a reminder to label claims clearly. A reported estimate can guide imagination, but it should not pretend to be a measured headcount from the past. The strongest evidence is quieter: air, water, doors, rooms, and time. That quiet evidence is harder to fake because it has consequences. If the air fails, people do not debate. They leave, or they die. So the honest story is not less dramatic than the viral one. It is dramatic because it can be tested. Derinkuyu should not be flattened into one clean origin story. The safer reading is layered use, expanded, remembered, adapted, and reused when the surface became dangerous. UNESCO places Cappadocia within a long human landscape of rock-cut settlement and refuge. The Turkey ministry connects Derinkuyu with defense and hiding during the spread of Christianity. But that should not become one simple movie scene with one villain and one knight. Some communities inherit songs, others inherit escape routes. History repeats its pressure. The form changes, but the old question remains: where do people go when the open world stops feeling safe? That is why this underground city still feels modern. Not because the technology is modern, but because the fear is. Every age thinks its danger is new. Then it builds walls, shelters, passwords, borders, and escape plans. Before the fantasy claims arrive, look at what the evidence already does. It explains pressure, planning, and fear without leaving the human world. The alien-style shortcut gives you surprise, but it removes the harder part: the people who carried water, guarded doors, and taught children to stay quiet. The real mystery is not whether humans had hands, it is what kind of pressure made those hands keep cutting room after room below the surface. Calling the work impossible can accidentally erase the courage that made ordinary survival possible. A fake miracle is clean. Human labor is messier: blisters, arguments, rationing, fear, and someone still choosing to work tomorrow. That is why the real wonder is heavier than fantasy. It has consequences you can feel. Fantasy lets us admire a structure without feeling responsible for the people inside it. Evidence does the harder thing: it gives the anonymous workers back their weight. So Derinkuyu is not mysterious because humans could not build it. It is mysterious because we can understand why humans might need to. Geology made room for the idea. Danger gave it urgency. Discipline made it livable. That last word matters. Discipline may be the real survival technology here. Not courage as a loud speech, but courage as water carried carefully, doors guarded, children calmed, and food shared fairly. The city still holds attention because every feature feels like a choice, air for panic, water for siege, doors for danger, rules for disorder. It is the old human bargain: lose light for safety, lose space for time, lose comfort so children, animals, memory, and belief can continue. The city was made by removing stone, so ordinary life could remain. And if the surface became dangerous tonight, the final question is not whether you would be brave. It is whether your people could become disciplined enough to survive together. That may be why Derinkuyu stays with us. The tunnels are old, but the bargain is still alive whenever people trade comfort for survival.